Good morning. I'm Jack Morgan, and welcome to Duke News. This past weekend, DSTV made history with a 48-hour stream. Throughout the weekend, they commentated 7 different games, the games being the Broncos versus the Bills, the night game of the Seahawks-Niners, which made Nick very happy, and then 2 Duquesne basketball games, along with the 2 NFL games and a Premier League game as well, getting to the 7. Also had some video games being played, along with a couple of Uno rounds, as well as trying some pretty terrible sodas. It made for a lot of funny moments and segments. The stream will go down as the longest in not just DSTV history, but in Duquesne history. We tell you right now, if anyone dares to beat it, all we can say is good freaking luck. Thinking about what comes after graduation, but you're not sure that you're ready to jump right into a full-time job or graduate school? Well, on Monday at noon at the Duquesne Union Room 613, the Center for Career Development is hosting a luncheon workshop. This workshop introduces the concept of a gap year and explores how taking intentional time after college can support your professional, personal, and career goals. Students will learn about common gap year pathways such as service programs, internships, travel, research, teaching, and skill building experiences, as well as tips for planning, funding, and explaining a gap year to employers or graduate schools. Whether you are curious or actively considering your options, this session will help you decide if a gap year is right for you and how to make the most of it. To request an accommodation or for inquiries about accessibility, please contact Career Development at duke.edu with at least 2 weeks' notice prior to the event. Now on to Nick for the weather.
Thanks, guys. As we are getting ready to head to the weekend, you see that correctly. We're starting this off with a low of 1 degree. And you probably think it's going to get better, although you do get some sunshine today, so enjoy that. But no, it's only going to get worse this weekend. The high is 14 and the low is 11, so it's going to be like consistently cold all day long. But that's the worst of it, right? Sunday begs to differ. The temperature is going to be warmer. The snow, however, how bad is it going to get? Yeah, you're seeing that correctly. 6 to 10 inches. And somehow we're on the luckier side of this, folks. Because I just want to point this out, in places like the DMV and North Carolina, they have been projected to get somewhere upwards of 2 feet in some places. It's getting really bad. We've seen states of emergency declared already in places like Texas, Georgia, and North Carolina. So this is a pretty big deal, this snowstorm, along with the snow that we're kind of getting a little bit on the luckier end with. Most of the ice, which is causing a lot of the power outages throughout the Midwest and the East Coast, is going to mostly miss the Pittsburgh area. So that's a good thing. And so for anyone who, if you don't have to go out on Sunday, please don't. It's not going to be safe. And if you do, drive very, very slowly. We could definitely see a chance for a lot of accidents, unfortunately, this weekend. Just make sure I'm praying for everybody's safety here and making sure nobody loses power and gets through the snowstorm okay. When we get back and Monday and the dust settles on Monday, you know what we get to celebrate with? A low of 0. Oh, yeah. Like, we are. There's a little bit of a bright side, though, as you can sort of see. You get sun the next 2 days, both Tuesday and Wednesday, but the lows do get down to 7. So, I mean, this whole week, you're going to see this, like, through the weekend into next week, you're going to see it's going to be, like, crazy cold. We're talking real feels that are probably going to touch the negatives most days, or at least every other day. So, if you haven't considered bundling up yet, it's like basically going to be a requirement this week, because we're talking about potentially getting yourself into dangers of frostbite and or getting yourself insanely sick without the proper attire outside. So make sure y'all are just keeping yourself bundled up on Sunday. Please stay in, and just, if you don't need to go out, do not, because it's going to be very windy. There's going to be like tons of snow. So I'm always on the side of being safe rather than sorry. But with that out of the way, from Duke News, I'm Nick Fernbaum.
On Sunday at 6 p.m., there will be Mass in the Chapel of the Holy Spirit, followed by a shared meal across the street in the School of Pharmacy Rotunda. Take some time to be able to share some faith and fellowship with peers ahead of the start of a new week. For more questions or information, contact Debbie Kostowski. Now for news at the Night Spot. For this week's News at the Night Spot, join OSEM on Tuesday, January 27th from 9 to 10 p.m. for a celebration of Groundhog Day. Inspired by the love of groundhogs of at least a few of their exec members, there will be a groundhog-themed snack, craft, and free raffle prizes for attendees. Dressing as spring, winter, or groundhog is encouraged. Now on to this week's sports. Duquesne men's basketball picked up a win on the road at Fordham on Saturday by a final of 74-63. Jimmy Williams scored a game-high 19 points, which is a good way to transition to the next game. This time, 3 days later, Duquesne fell at home to St. Louis 81-77. Jimmy Williams went nuclear, though, scoring a career-high 28 points. Duquesne will play tomorrow at Loyola Chicago on the road. It's a big stretch for the Duquesne Dukes, who have the Bonnies and the Rhode Island Rams after this. These are three very winnable games, and if they can pull this off, they will sit above 500 with half the schedule in conference play to go. Unfortunately, there's minimal optimism for the women's basketball team. They dropped another 2 games this week, with one being to Rhode Island by a final score of 70-50. They then suffered a brutal 75-58 defeat at home against Dayton on Wednesday. The Dukes never led in this one, and in fact, they fell behind early, 15-0 in the first 3 minutes and 36 seconds of the game. With more questions than answers, Saturday's game against St. Joe's becomes very important for the Dukes, and we will have the call for you at 12 p.m. from the UPMC Cooper Fieldhouse. Wicked, the musical, will be playing at the Benedum Center, at 7:30 on Saturday. If you missed your opportunity to get your tickets in the CSI office, tickets are still available to be purchased through the ticket office at the Benedum. Tickets are selling fast as there is only about 2% capacity remaining for purchase, so be sure to head out this weekend for some fun. That's it for us this week. I'm Jack Morgan, and thank you for tuning in to Duke News. We will see you next week.